Have you ever found yourself feeling lonely or unfulfilled even when you're surrounded by people? Do you struggle to find happiness and contentment within yourself, always seeking validation and joy from external sources? If so, you're not alone. In fact, learning to be happy alone is one of the greatest challenges we face as human beings, but it's also one of the most rewarding. You see, from a young age, we're taught that happiness comes from the outside world. We're told that we need to have the perfect relationship, the dream job, the fancy car, or the lavish lifestyle to be truly happy. But the truth is, none of those things can give us lasting fulfillment if we haven't first learned to be happy with ourselves. So how do we do that? How do we cultivate a deep sense of self-love, self-acceptance, and inner peace, regardless of our external circumstances? It starts with a shift in mindset, a willingness to let go of our preconceived notions of happiness and embrace a new way of being. First and foremost, we need to recognize that being alone does not equal being lonely. In fact, some of the most fulfilling and transformative moments in our lives often happen when we're by ourselves. It's in those quiet moments of solitude that we have the opportunity to connect with our true selves, to explore our passions and interests, and to cultivate a sense of inner strength and resilience. But for many of us, the idea of being alone is terrifying. We've been conditioned to believe that we need others to complete us, to validate our worth, and to give our lives meaning. We fear the silence, the stillness, and the uncertainty that comes with being alone. But what if I told you that those fears are actually holding you back from your greatest potential? What if I told you that embracing solitude is the key to unlocking your true happiness and fulfillment? You see, when we rely on others for our happiness, we give away our power, we become dependent on external validation and approval, always seeking the next fix of attention or affection. But when we learn to be happy alone, we take back that power. We become self-sufficient, self-reliant, and self-assured. So how do we start? The first step is to get comfortable with discomfort. Learning to be happy alone often means facing our deepest fears and insecurities head-on. It means sitting with the uncomfortable emotions that arise when we're by ourselves without trying to distract or numb ourselves. This can be challenging at first, especially if we've spent years avoiding our own company. But with practice and patience, we can learn to embrace the discomfort and see it as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. One of the best ways to do this is through mindfulness and meditation. By taking just a few minutes each day to sit in stillness and focus on our breath, we can begin to cultivate a sense of inner peace and calm. We can learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them, and we can start to develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and self-compassion. Another key to learning to be happy alone is to pursue our passions and interests with enthusiasm and curiosity. When we're engaged in activities that light us up and bring us joy, we're less likely to feel lonely or unfulfilled. Whether it's painting, writing, hiking, or playing music, finding hobbies and pursuits that we love can help us build a strong sense of self and purpose. But it's not just about keeping ourselves busy or distracted. Learning to be happy alone also means developing a deep sense of self-love and self-acceptance. It means treating ourselves with kindness and compassion, even when we make mistakes or fall short of our own expectations. One way to cultivate self-love is through positive self-talk and affirmations. Instead of constantly criticizing or judging ourselves, we can learn to speak to ourselves with the same love and encouragement we would offer a dear friend. We can remind ourselves of our strengths, our talents, and our inherent worth, even in moments of doubt or insecurity. Another way to build self-love is through acts of self-care and self-nurturing. This can look different for everyone, but some examples might include taking a relaxing bath, treating ourselves to a healthy meal, or taking a solo trip to a place we've always wanted to visit. The key is to prioritize our own needs and desires without feeling guilty or selfish for doing so. Of course, learning to be happy alone doesn't mean we have to isolate ourselves from others completely. In fact, having strong, supportive relationships is an important part of overall well-being and happiness. But when we learn to be content and fulfilled on our own, we're able to show up in our relationships from a place of wholeness and self-sufficiency rather than neediness or desperation. We're able to give and receive love freely without expectations or attachments. We're able to set healthy boundaries and communicate our needs clearly without fear of rejection or abandonment. And we're able to weather the ups and downs of relationships with grace and resilience, knowing that our happiness and worth are not dependent on anyone else. Ultimately, learning to be happy alone is about cultivating a deep sense of trust and faith in ourselves. It's about believing that we have the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience to handle whatever life throws our way without needing to rely on others to save or complete us. And the beautiful thing is, when we learn to be happy alone, we open ourselves up to even greater happiness and fulfillment in all areas of our lives. We attract people and experiences that align with our true selves, and we're able to create the kind of life we've always dreamed of on our own terms. So if you're struggling to find happiness and contentment within yourself, know that you're not alone. Know that it's possible to cultivate a deep sense of self-love and inner peace no matter what your external circumstances may be. And know that by learning to be happy alone, you're giving yourself the greatest gift of all, the gift of true freedom, joy, and fulfillment. It won't happen overnight, and it won't always be easy. There will be moments of doubt, fear, and discomfort along the way. But with practice, patience, and self-compassion, you can learn to embrace solitude as a path to your greatest potential and happiness. So start today. Take a few minutes to sit in stillness and connect with your breath. Pursue a passion or hobby that lights you up from the inside out. Speak to yourself with kindness and love, even in moments of struggle or self-doubt. And trust that you have everything you need within yourself to create a life of true happiness and fulfillment, no matter what challenges come your way. Remember, learning to be happy alone is not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about being willing to show up for yourself day after day with curiosity, compassion, and a sense of adventure. It's about embracing the journey of self-discovery and self-love, even when it feels scary or uncertain. And as you continue on this path, you may find that being alone is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather something to be cherished and celebrated. You may find that solitude is a source of great strength, creativity, and wisdom, and that it allows you to connect with yourself and the world around you in profound and meaningful ways. So embrace the journey, my friend. Embrace the discomfort, the uncertainty, and the joy that comes with learning to be happy alone. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be and that every step along the way is leading you closer to your true self and your greatest potential. And know that you are never truly alone. Even in your moments of deepest solitude, you are connected to a vast and beautiful universe filled with endless possibilities and opportunities for growth and transformation. You are supported by a love that knows no bounds, and that is always guiding you towards your highest good. So keep going. Keep showing up for yourself, keep cultivating self-love and self-acceptance, and keep trusting in the journey. And know that by learning to be happy alone, you are not only giving yourself the greatest gift, but you are also inspiring others to do the same. Because when we learn to be happy alone, we create a ripple effect of love, joy, and fulfillment that touches everyone around us. We become a beacon of hope and possibility, reminding others that true happiness comes from within, and that we all have the power to create the life we desire, no matter what challenges we may face. As we embark on this journey of learning to be happy alone, it's important to remember that it's not a one-size-fits-all process. What works for one person may not work for another. And that's okay. The key is to be patient, curious, and open to experimentation as you discover what brings you joy and fulfillment. One of the most powerful tools in this process is gratitude. When we focus on the things we're grateful for, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, we shift our mindset from one of lack and scarcity to one of abundance and appreciation. We begin to see the beauty and wonder in the world around us, and we cultivate a sense of contentment and peace that comes from within. So start each day by taking a few moments to reflect on the things you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of the sun on your face, the taste of your favorite coffee, or the love and support of a dear friend. The more you practice gratitude, the more you'll begin to see the blessings in your life, even in moments of challenge or difficulty. Another key to learning to be happy alone is to embrace your own uniqueness and authenticity. So often we try to fit into someone else's mold of who we should be or what we should want, rather than honoring our own truth and desires. But when we learn to be true to ourselves, we tap into a deep well of happiness and fulfillment that comes from living in alignment with our values and passions. This means letting go of the need for external validation or approval, and instead trusting in our own inner wisdom and intuition. It means being willing to take risks, to try new things, and to follow our own path, even if it looks different from everyone else's. And it means celebrating our own quirks, eccentricities, and imperfections, knowing that they are what make us beautifully and uniquely ourselves. Of course, embracing our authenticity doesn't mean we have to do everything alone. In fact, having a strong support system of friends, family, and loved ones is an important part of overall well-being and happiness. But when we learn to be happy alone, we're able to show up in those relationships from a place of wholeness and self-sufficiency rather than neediness or codependency. We're able to give and receive love freely without expectations or attachments. We're able to communicate our needs and boundaries clearly without fear of rejection or abandonment. And we're able to weather the ups and downs of relationships with grace and resilience, knowing that our happiness and worth are not dependent on anyone else. Another important aspect of learning to be happy alone is to cultivate a sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. This doesn't necessarily mean we have to have it all figured out or know exactly what we want to do with our lives. But it does mean taking the time to explore our passions, values, and interests, and finding ways to contribute to the world in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling to us. This could mean volunteering for a cause we care about, starting a creative project or business, or simply being kind and compassionate to those around us. The key is to find something that lights us up from the inside out, and that gives us a sense of purpose and direction, even in moments of uncertainty or doubt. And as we continue on this journey of self-discovery and self-love, it's important to remember that it's not a linear process. There will be ups and downs, moments of clarity and moments of confusion, times when we feel like we're making progress and times when we feel like we're stuck or going backwards. But through it all, we can learn to be kind and compassionate with ourselves, to treat ourselves with the same love and understanding we would offer a dear friend. We can learn to let go of perfectionism and self-judgment and instead embrace the messiness and imperfection of the human experience. And we can learn to trust in the journey, knowing that every step along the way is leading us closer to our true selves and our greatest potential. We can learn to be happy alone, not because we're settling for less or giving up on our dreams, but because we're choosing to be our own best friend, our own greatest ally, and our own source of love and support. So keep going, my friend. Keep showing up for yourself, keep cultivating self-love and self-acceptance, and keep trusting in the journey. Know that you are not alone, even in your moments of deepest solitude, and that there is a whole community of people out there who are rooting for you and cheering you on. And know that by learning to be happy alone, you are not only giving yourself the greatest gift, but you are also inspiring others to do the same. You are creating a ripple effect of love, joy, and fulfillment that touches everyone around you. And that has the power to transform the world in profound and beautiful ways. So let's keep going together. Let's keep learning, growing, and discovering all the incredible things we're capable of, both alone and in community with others. Let's keep embracing the journey of self-discovery and self-love, even when it feels scary or uncertain. And let's keep reminding ourselves that true happiness comes from within, and that we all have the power to create the life we desire, no matter what challenges we may face. Let's be our own best friends, our own greatest allies, and our own sources of love and support. Because when we learn to be happy alone, we open ourselves up to a world of endless possibilities and opportunities for growth and transformation. We become a beacon of hope and possibility, reminding others that they too have the power to create a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose, no matter what their circumstances may be. So let's do this together. Let's learn to be happy alone, and let's create a world where everyone has the tools and the support they need to cultivate true happiness and well-being from the inside out. Let's embrace solitude as a path to our greatest potential, and let's inspire others to do the same. Are you ready? Let's keep going one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time, and let's trust that the journey itself is the destination, and that every step along the way is leading us closer to our true selves and our greatest happiness. Thank you for being here, for showing up for yourself, and for being willing to embrace the journey of learning to be happy alone. You are a true inspiration, and I am honored to be a part of your journey. So let's keep going, my friend. Let's keep learning, growing, and discovering all the incredible things we're capable of. And let's keep reminding ourselves that we are never truly alone, even in our moments of deepest solitude. Because we are all connected, all part of a greater whole, all part of a love that knows no bounds. And when we learn to be happy alone, we tap into that love, that connection, and that sense of belonging that is our birthright and our greatest gift. So here's to the journey, my friend. Here's to the ups and downs, the joys and the sorrows, the moments of clarity and the moments of confusion. Here's to the incredible adventure of learning to be happy alone and of discovering all the beauty, wonder, and possibility that lies within us and all around us. And here's to you, my friend. Here's to your courage, your resilience, your wisdom, and your strength. Here's to the incredible being that you are and to the incredible journey that lies ahead. May you always remember that you are loved, that you are worthy, and that you are never truly alone. May you always find the happiness, peace, and fulfillment that comes from within, and may you always inspire others to do the same. Thank you for being here, for being you, and for being a part of this incredible journey of life. I am honored to walk beside you, and I can't wait to see all the amazing things you'll create and discover along the way. So let's keep going, my friend. Let's keep learning to be happy alone, and let's keep creating a world of love, joy, and possibility, one moment at a time. Here's to the journey, and here's to you. Thank you for being here. You're here because some part of you wants more from life. Some part of you is hungry for change, for growth, for a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment. You want to tap into your true potential and start acting like the unstoppable force that you know you can be deep down. Well, I'm here to fan those flames burning inside you and show you how to step into your power. We all arrive on this planet with an inner guidance system, an infinite source of wisdom that can steer us towards our highest good. But so often we lose touch with that inner voice amidst the noise and bustle of day-to-day life. We get caught up in other people's expectations and societal pressures, in our own doubts and fears. And in doing so, we forget the unstoppable radiance that is our birthright. Today, I want you to reconnect with that inner strength. I want you to remember who you truly are, a limitless soul on an everlasting journey of growth and transformation. You are not a fixed, stagnant being, but a constantly evolving force of nature with the power to reshape your reality and create the life you yearn for. The first step is shifting your mindset. For too long, many of us have been conditioned to think that our circumstances dictate our lives. We look at our job, our relationships, our income level, and we say, well, this is just how it is. But I'm here to tell you that you are not the product of your circumstances. You are the creator of your circumstances. Think about it. Every reality you've ever experienced in this lifetime started as a thought. It started with an intention, a belief, a make-believe conversation in your mind before it ever manifested into your physical world. And if your thoughts and beliefs can create the life you're living now, doesn't it follow that you can create something new simply by changing those thoughts and beliefs? This universal principle is what allows the unstoppable mind to bend reality to its will. When you truly embody the core belief that you are the architect of your destiny, that you are unstoppable and unbounded, that your potential extends in every direction as far as the eye can see, that's when your life begins to reorganize itself around that central truth. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, far from it. Our egos, our doubts and fears, the weight of other people's limited thinking, these forces will constantly try to drag you back into the gravity of struggle and smallness. but you must resist them with every fiber of your being. Because the alternative, resigning yourself to a life of limits and scarcity, is a planet away from the unstoppable existence you were born to embody. I imagine some of you right now are bristling at these words, thinking, yeah, but you don't understand my situation. You have no idea how stuck I really am, but that doubt, that protest, is the very thing that keeps you bound. The unstoppable mind doesn't make excuses or exceptions. It refuses to be stopped by anything or anyone. I was once stuck in those same limiting patterns of thinking myself. I had a decent job, a decent life on paper, but something inside me knew I was capable of so much more. Those stirrings of restlessness, of yearning for greater purpose and passion, they grew harder and harder to ignore until one day I finally decided no more. No more allowing fear and doubt to run the show. It was time to take the leap into the unknown and start walking the path of my highest vision for my life. Was I scared? Absolutely. Was I filled with doubt and hesitation? More times than I can count. But I stayed resolute because in those quiet moments of honest self-reflection, I knew that living a life shackled by self-imposed limits was the far riskier path. At least by pointing myself in the direction of my dreams, I gave myself a fighting chance at transcendence. And you know what happened when I finally got out of my own way and leaned fully into my unstoppable nature? Opportunities and openings started appearing that I couldn't have begun to imagine from my place of limited thinking. Doors opened, connections sparked, circumstances realigned in my favor in the most miraculous ways. It was as if the whole universe was conspiring to make my wildest dreams come true, because it felt my unbridled intention and undivided commitment. That's the power of the unstoppable mind, my friends. When you remove the barriers of disbelief and doubt, when you embrace your innate perfection and your birthright for greatness, you become aligned with the same forces that created the planets and the stars themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, stepping onto the unstoppable path will bring obstacles, it will bring challenges and failures along the way. That's life, that's how you continue evolving. But those roadblocks become just that, temporary detours along your journey rather than dead ends. Because you know in your core that nothing can stop you. You embrace your failures and setbacks as portals to even greater growth and learning rather than reasons to throw in the towel. You stay rooted in patience and faith, knowing that everything you need to create your ideal reality is emerging perfectly through the landscape of your life, even if you can't quite see it yet with your limited human vision. You act as an unstoppable force of nature would by simply continuing to flow and grow and express yourself through every twist and turn along the way. Part of being unstoppable is rooting yourself in this present moment while simultaneously aligning your intentions with the future you want to create for yourself. It's like aiming an arrow. You have to stand grounded and still to fully concentrate your energy while firing that arrow towards the future target of your desires. So many of us, though, get caught up in obsessing over the future outcome rather than taking purposeful, fertile action in this present moment soil where all manifestation takes root. We live in fear and anxiety, marinating ourselves in what if. Storylines about worst-case scenarios rather than doing the next right thing that's directly in front of us. The unstoppable mind does not entertain such useless fiction. The unstoppable mind is laser-focused on this present reality while envisioning the future it wishes to create. It's about balancing patience and urgency, faith and inspired action, being supremely rooted and grounded on your path while allowing that path to continually unfold and reveal itself as you walk. This way of being takes practice, of course. Our human tendency is to always be looking backward or projecting far ahead, regretting and resisting the past or longing for a future that hasn't arrived. But the unstoppable mind is fully absorbed in this present sacred moment while calling in its ultimate desires and highest truth. When you find that centered point of balance within yourself, that's when the real magic happens. That's when the universe recognizes your focused intention and moves to co-create the reality you've summoned forth. It's an alchemy of acceptance and intention of gratitude for this moment while simultaneously stretching yourself towards the future you or you wish to birth. It's radically allowing what is while firmly guiding that flow in the direction of what you want to create. And it is from that fertile breeding ground that all of your greatest achievements, successes, breakthroughs, and milestones will blossom into manifestation. But it takes practice. It takes diligence. It takes learning to act as if you are already that unstoppable force of nature you want to be. After all, isn't that just how everything is created? You don't actually build a house and the completed vision of that house. You start by laying the foundation of what you intend to create. Then build it brick by brick by brick in accordance with that image, that feeling, that energy you've summoned forth through intention. It's the same with giving birth to a work of art, starting a new business or movement, even creating a revolutionary new scientific innovation. It all starts in the invisible realms of thought and imagination, which are given energy and focus, which are nurtured and fed through purposeful action and surrender to the create process itself. And then at last, it all congeals and condenses into a new physical manifestation on this earthly plane. So if that's how everything around you was created, from the chairs you're sitting on to the architecture around us to the electronic devices in your pockets, why would manifesting the life of your dreams follow any different universal process? The only difference is that most people go about the creation of their lives unconsciously. They absorb limiting beliefs and self-doubt from an early age and then project these thought viruses outward without realizing they're shaping their entire reality and experience. But when you wake up and consciously embrace the unstoppable truth of your being, everything changes. Now you become the operant power, the one who is given the keys to the kingdom of conscious manifestation and co-creation simply by learning to focus your mind in the direction you wish to go. It takes focus, and it takes removing the static of negativity and resistance through techniques like meditation, mindfulness, appreciation, and radical self-acceptance. But once your channel is clear, there's no limit to what you can call into being. Which seems far more plausible that the doorway to your greatest life is sealed up by permanent material restrictions, or that the entire universe is teeming with the infinite supply required to birth your dreams, simply awaiting your clear energetic invitation. I know which of those perspectives rings true for me. I know that no temporary circumstance, no amount of doubt or fear or resistance can ultimately stop the freight train of my unbound soul's evolution. And the same is true for each and every one of you. When you strip away the layers of social conditioning and existential confusion, what's left at your core is pure, infinite, unbounded potential, an inexhaustible vitality and power source that can energize any creation you wish to give birth to if you simply stay aligned with its flow. Does this mean everything will always happen overnight or exactly according to your desired timeline? No, of course not. The nature of this game of conscious manifestation is one of patience, trust, and unconditional commitment to the process itself. You can't force a rose to bloom through sheer force of will, but you can nurture it by providing the ideal conditions for its natural emergence. The unstoppable mind understands this dance. It embraces the wisdom of nature's grand cycles and evolutions. It allows life to unfold in its way while maintaining an unwavering connection to Source, an unbreakable bond with the essence of its desires. And in doing so, it is never rendered powerless because it is tapped into the boundless supply. It is renewed and strengthened with each passing season. From this space of unconditional alignment and energetic resonance, the unstoppable being does not worry whether their dream will manifest or if they'll find the means to create the life they want. Those attachments to timing and methods are just another form of limited thinking. No, the unstoppable consciousness knows at its core that it has already aligned with the energetic equivalent of its dreams come true. It understands that the specific physical form those dreams will take is simply rearranging itself to match the vibration the unstoppable mind has already anchored into. So you see, it's less about constantly struggling and straining to force things into existence and more about getting into energetic resonance with the reality you wish to create. From that place of alignment, there is no separation between you and your dream. You cannot not create it. You become an extension of the same creative forces that manifest each breath in your lungs and each sunrise over the horizon. When you truly wrap your mind around this, it's not only life-changing, it's reality-shifting in the most profound of ways. because you realize that you've been invested in an illusion of powerlessness, an artificial matchstick construct of limits that has no grounding in the truth of the universe's underlying nature. You realize that you are, and always have been, a limitless creator with a direct line to the source energy that manifests each atom and planet in existence. And in that cosmic remembering, you awaken to your true unstoppable nature, forever free from the shackles of helplessness and stagnation. My friends, you have been asleep and living in a trance for far too long. You've been acting as if you were confined, restricted, inhibited by forces far smaller than your true vastness and potential. But today is the day you choose to wake up fully and reclaim your birthright as an unstoppable facet of the infinite creative force that accounts for all of existence itself. From this day forward, will you still encounter roadblocks? Yes, of course. Will there still be obstacles to overcome, challenges to face, hard work, and perseverance required to shape your dreams brick by brick into physical form? Absolutely any worthwhile creation demands that consistent devotion and care. But when you shift into the consciousness we've discussed today, those challenges are not stumbling blocks or sources of frustration, but cosmic choreographies designed to fortify your unstoppable nature and expand you into your next level of creative mastery. You begin to look at every seemingly negative circumstance in your life not as an incontrovertible setback, but as a carefully crafted teacher designed to strengthen your powers of patience, resolve, non-attachment, creativity, endurance. You come to recognize that you've been training for the big leagues all along, and what once felt like limitations were simply the incubating and tempering forces required for you to become an unstoppable steward of manifestation and upliftment on this planet. Make no mistake, to live as an unstoppable being in this realm is to be initiated over and over into higher and higher levels of spiritual and psychological mastery. It is a hero's journey that demands everything from you. You will be stretched and pulled until every fiber has been reinforced with the warrior spirit required to meet your greatest missions and callings. But if you stay true and keep realigning yourself to your highest vision, you'll find that you're tapped into an inexhaustible reserve of energy, ingenuity, and renewal. The unstoppable knows they cannot be cut off from their source because they are the source incarnated. An infinite shapeshifter eternally expressing itself through this grand canvas of physicality. So I'll leave you with this: do not aim to think like an unstoppable being. Do not try to act like an unstoppable being either. You must be the unstoppable force of nature you were born as. Take the choice today to stop playing small, to take your limiting beliefs out to the woodshed, to obliterate the fears and doubts that would have you stay confined to the dusty, shrunken shell of a fraction of what you're capable of. Give yourself full permission to expand into your true divine limitlessness by anchoring into the core worth and birthright perfection that sits behind all of your temporary circumstances and surface-level identities. Trust that the entire universe will reorganize itself to catch you as you spread your unstoppable wings ever wider, because its only perpetual law is that of creative expression in its infinite forms. Have the unbending audacity to chart your own course paved by the markers of your most resilient and impossible dreams. Stay committed to that trajectory no matter how rocky the terrain that precedes it, for it is only tapping you into higher realms of creative stamina. Allow each adversity to make you stronger, wiser, more relentless in your unstoppable quest to leave this world forever changed by your unique mark on it. Act as if the entire cosmos is cheering you on towards grander and vaster permutations of yourself with each breath you take and each act of beauty and bravery you author here. For it is, and it has been awaiting this ultimate reunion with your wholeness since long before you first opened your eyes on this planet. You are an eternal being of pure potentiality temporarily reflected in this human costume. But it's far past time to stop letting your infinite essence be confined and diluted any longer. Today is the day to flood yourself with the remembrance of your unstoppable true nature and allow it to cascade forth through every thought, every choice, every word and action that follows. No more playing small, no more hiding your light, no more postponing or procrastinating the birth of all that you are destined to create in service of this lifetime. You are unstoppable. You were born for greatness. You are unlimited and forever in the process of becoming. Now let's see what this unstoppable expression of you has in store for us next. Has anyone ever told you that sometimes the best thing you can say is nothing at all? It may seem counterintuitive in a world that values self-expression and speaking your mind. But I've discovered that there are certain situations in life where silence truly is golden. You see, words are incredibly powerful. They have the ability to heal or to hurt, to inspire or to discourage, to clarify or to confuse. And once they leave our lips, we can never take them back. That's why it's so important to choose our words carefully and to know when it's best to stay silent. Through my own life experiences and observations, I've identified 5 key situations where holding your tongue and embracing silence can be the wisest course of action. These are the moments when saying less says more. The times when keeping quiet can speak volumes about your character, your wisdom, and your emotional intelligence. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I'm an honest person. I believe in speaking my truth and letting others know exactly how I feel, and I absolutely respect that. Honesty and authenticity are admirable qualities, and there's certainly a time and a place for expressing yourself openly and directly. But here's the thing, there's a difference between honesty and reactivity, between assertiveness and aggression, between standing up for yourself and causing unnecessary harm to others or to yourself. And that's where the power of silence comes in. You see, silence is not weakness, it's not passivity or avoidance or repression. On the contrary, silence is a sign of great strength, restraint, and self-control. It's a way of responding rather than reacting, of taking a step back and considering the bigger picture before opening your mouth. Think about it. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment that you later regretted? How many relationships have been damaged or opportunities lost because of a careless comment or a knee-jerk reaction? How much unnecessary drama and conflict could have been avoided if you had simply taken a deep breath and chosen to stay silent? That's the beauty of silence. It gives you the space to pause, to reflect, to choose your words and your actions wisely. It allows you to communicate not just with your voice, but with your presence, your body language, your energy. And it can be a powerful tool for diffusing tense situations, for preserving your own peace of mind, and for building stronger, more authentic relationships with others. So what are these 5 situations where silence is the best policy? Let's dive in and explore them together. The first situation is when you're angry or upset. We've all been there. Someone says or does something that pushes our buttons, and we feel that surge of emotion rising up in our chest. Our face flushes, our heart races, and we have the overwhelming urge to lash out, to give that person a piece of our mind. But here's the thing, responding in anger rarely leads to a positive outcome. When we're in the grip of strong emotions, our judgment is clouded, and we're more likely to say things we don't mean or to escalate the situation unnecessarily. We may feel a momentary sense of satisfaction from unleashing our fury, but in the long run, it often does more harm than good. That's why when you feel yourself getting angry or upset, the best thing you can do is to take a step back and stay silent. Give yourself some time and space to calm down, to process your emotions, and to gain some perspective on the situation. Take a few deep breaths, go for a walk, or find a healthy outlet for your feelings like journaling or exercise. And when you do feel ready to address the issue, do so from a place of calm and clarity. Choose your words carefully and focus on expressing yourself assertively but respectfully. Remember, the goal is not to win an argument or to prove a point, but to communicate effectively and to find a resolution that works for everyone involved. The second situation where silence is golden is when you're tempted to gossip or speak badly about someone. Let's face it, we've all engaged in a little bit of gossip from time to time. It can be tempting to bond with others over shared grievances or to feel a sense of superiority by putting someone else down. But gossip is a dangerous game. Not only does it erode trust and damage relationships, but it also reflects poorly on your own character. When you speak badly about someone behind their back, you're revealing more about yourself than you are about them. You're showing that you're willing to betray confidences, to judge others harshly, and to engage in petty behavior. So the next time you're tempted to join in on a gossip session or to make a snide comment about someone, pause and ask yourself, is this really necessary? Is it kind? Is it constructive? If the answer is no, then it's best to keep your mouth shut and to find a more positive topic of conversation. Remember, you have the power to set the tone for your interactions with others. By choosing to stay silent when tempted to gossip, you're sending a clear message that you value integrity, loyalty, and respect. You're showing that you're someone who can be trusted, who rises above pettiness, and who treats others with kindness and compassion. The third situation where silence is the way to go is when you're in the presence of someone who is grieving or going through a difficult time. When someone we care about is suffering, our first instinct is often to try to fix the problem or to offer words of comfort and advice. We want to say something, anything, to ease their pain and to make them feel better. But sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply to be present and to listen. To sit with someone in their grief or their struggle without judgment or expectation. To offer a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, or a hand to hold. You see, when someone is going through a tough time, they don't always need us to have all the answers or to solve their problems for them. They may just need to feel heard, understood, and supported. They may need the space to process their emotions and to find their own way forward. And that's where the power of silence comes in. By staying quiet and allowing someone to share their feelings without interruption or unsolicited advice, we're giving them a precious gift. We're showing them that we respect their journey, that we trust in their resilience, and that we're here for them no matter what. So the next time you're with someone who is grieving or going through a challenging time, resist the urge to fill the silence with platitudes or suggestions. Instead, simply be present. Listen with an open heart and an open mind. Let them know that you're there for them, that you care about them, and that you're willing to sit with them in the discomfort and the pain. Remember, sometimes the most powerful thing we can say is nothing at all. Sometimes our silent presence and our loving attention are all that's needed to help someone heal and to find their way back to wholeness. The fourth situation where silence is the best approach is when you're in a heated argument or a contentious debate. We've all been in those situations where emotions are running high, where opinions are clashing, and where everyone is talking over each other, trying to make their point heard. It can be tempting to jump into the fray, to raise your voice and to try to dominate the conversation. After all, you have important things to say, and you want to make sure that your perspective is being considered. But here's the thing, when everyone is talking, no one is listening, and when no one is listening, no real communication or understanding can take place. All that happens is that everyone gets more entrenched in their own positions, more defensive and more reactive, and the chances of finding common ground or reaching a resolution diminish. That's why in a heated argument or debate, sometimes the wisest thing you can do is to stay silent and to listen. To really hear what the other person is saying without interrupting or mentally formulating your rebuttal. To try to understand their perspective, even if you don't agree with it. By staying quiet and listening actively, you're creating the space for genuine dialogue and exchange of ideas. You're showing that you're open to learning, to considering other viewpoints, and to finding a way forward that works for everyone involved. And when you do speak, do so calmly, clearly, and respectfully. Focus on expressing your own thoughts and feelings rather than attacking or blaming others. Use I statements like I feel or I think rather than you statements, which can come across as accusatory or judgmental. Remember, the goal of any healthy argument or debate is not to win, but to understand and to find a resolution that everyone can live with. And sometimes the key to achieving that goal is to embrace the power of silence, to listen deeply, and to communicate with care and compassion. The fifth and final situation where silence is the best policy is when you're in doubt or unsure of what to say. We've all had those moments where we're put on the spot, where someone asks us a question or makes a comment that catches us off guard. Our mind goes blank, and we feel pressure to say something, anything, to fill the awkward silence. But here's the thing, there's no shame in admitting that you don't have all the answers or that you need some time to think before responding. In fact, it's a sign of great wisdom and self-awareness to be able to say, I don't know. or I need to give that some more thought before I can give you a full answer. You see, we live in a culture that values quick thinking, decisive action, and the ability to always have something to say. But sometimes the most intelligent and thoughtful response is to stay silent, to take a step back, and to give yourself the time and space you need to process information and to formulate a considered opinion. By embracing silence in moments of doubt or uncertainty, you're showing that you value accuracy over speed, substance over style. You're demonstrating that you're willing to be vulnerable, to admit what you don't know, and to seek out more information or perspectives before making a judgment or taking a stand. And when you do speak, your words will carry more weight and credibility because they'll be coming from a place of genuine reflection and understanding rather than from a knee-jerk reaction or a desire to sound smart or in control. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where you're not sure what to say, take a deep breath and give yourself permission to be silent. To take a moment to gather your thoughts, to ask clarifying questions, or to simply say, I need some time to think about that before I can give you a full response. Remember, silence is not a weakness or a failing. It's a sign of strength, of self-awareness, and of a commitment to speaking and acting with integrity and authenticity. As we come to the end of our exploration of the 5 situations where silence is the best approach, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts and reflections. First, I want to acknowledge that staying silent in these situations is not always easy. It can feel uncomfortable, vulnerable, or even scary to hold your tongue when every fiber of your being is urging you to speak up or to react. It takes practice, patience, and a willingness to sit with discomfort in order to cultivate the habit of thoughtful, intentional communication. But I promise you, the rewards of embracing silence in these moments are well worth the effort. By choosing to stay quiet when you're angry, when you're tempted to gossip, when you're in the presence of grief, when you're in a heated argument, or when you're in doubt, you're not only improving your relationships and your communication skills, but you're also growing as a person. You're developing greater self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and the ability to respond rather than react. You're learning to trust in the power of your own presence and your own listening skills rather than always needing to have the right words or the perfect solution. And most importantly, you're cultivating a deeper sense of peace both within yourself and in your interactions with others. You're creating the space for genuine connection, understanding, and growth, and you're inviting more love, compassion, and wisdom into your life and into the world around you. So my invitation to you today is to start small. To notice the moments in your own life where you might benefit from staying silent and to experiment with holding your tongue and listening deeply. Just to be patient with yourself as you learn and grow, and to celebrate the progress you make along the way. Remember, silence is not about repressing your feelings or your opinions. It's about choosing to express them in a way that is thoughtful, intentional, and in service of the highest good for yourself and for others. And when you do choose to speak, let your words be guided by love, by truth, and by a deep respect for the humanity and the dignity of every person you encounter. Let your voice be a force for healing, for connection, and for positive change in the world. Because ultimately, that's what communication is all about. It's not just about expressing ourselves, but about creating a world where everyone feels heard, valued, and understood. A world where we can come together across our differences and our disagreements and find common ground in our shared humanity and our shared hopes for a better future. And it all starts with the simple, powerful act of knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Of choosing our words and our actions with care and with intention, and of trusting in the wisdom and the guidance of our own inner voice. So as you go forth from this moment, I invite you to carry these teachings with you, to let them be a source of strength, of inspiration, and of guidance as you navigate the ups and downs of life and relationships. And most of all, I invite you to trust in yourself, to know that you have within you all the wisdom, all the courage, and all the compassion you need to communicate with clarity, with kindness, and with love. Because when we communicate from that place of deep authenticity and connection, there's no limit to the joy, the healing, and the transformation that's possible for ourselves and for the world around us. As we continue to explore the power and wisdom of silence, I want to dive deeper into each of the 5 situations we've discussed and offer some additional insights and practical strategies for putting these teachings into action. Let's start with the first situation when you're angry or upset. As we've seen, responding in anger rarely leads to a positive outcome. It can be easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment and say things we later regret. But with practice and intention, we can learn to use silence as a tool for self-regulation and emotional management. One strategy that can be helpful is to create a pause button for yourself. This is a mental cue or physical gesture that reminds you to take a step back and give yourself some space before reacting. It could be something as simple as taking a deep breath, counting to 10, or even visualizing a literal pause button in your mind. When you feel yourself getting triggered or upset, hit that pause button and give yourself permission to take a moment of silence. Use that time to check in with yourself and notice what you're feeling in your body. Are your muscles tense? Is your heart racing? Are you feeling hot or flushed? By bringing your awareness to your physical sensations, you can start to create some distance between yourself and your emotions. You can recognize that the anger or upset is a temporary state and that you have the power to choose how you respond to it. Another helpful strategy is to practice reframing your thoughts. When we're angry, our mind can get stuck in a loop of negative self-talk and blaming others. We might tell ourselves things like, "They always do this to me," or "I can't believe they're so inconsiderate." But the reality is that our thoughts are not always accurate or helpful. They're often based on assumptions, interpretations, and past experiences that may or may not be relevant to the current situation. So when you find yourself getting caught up in angry or blaming thoughts, take a moment to pause and question them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is there another way to look at this situation? What would a wise and compassionate observer say about what's happening here? By challenging your own thoughts and looking for alternative perspectives, you can start to diffuse the charge of your anger and find a more balanced and constructive way to respond. And remember, it's okay to take some time and space to process your emotions before addressing the situation. You don't have to react immediately just because someone has pushed your buttons. Give yourself permission to step away, take a walk, or do something else to calm and center yourself before re-engaging. The goal is not to suppress your anger or pretend it doesn't exist, but rather to create a healthy outlet for it and to respond in a way that aligns with your values and your highest self. Moving on to the second situation, when you're tempted to gossip or speak badly about someone, it's important to remember that our words have power. They can create connection or division, healing or harm. And when we engage in gossip, we're often contributing to a culture of negativity and judgment that ultimately hurts everyone involved. One way to avoid the temptation to gossip is to practice shifting your focus from what's wrong with others to what's right with them. When you find yourself wanting to criticize or complain about someone, take a moment to pause and consider their positive qualities or the challenges they might be facing. This doesn't mean you have to ignore or excuse hurtful behavior, but rather that you can choose to respond with empathy and compassion rather than judgment and blame. Another strategy is to ask yourself whether the conversation you're about to have is truly necessary or helpful. Is there a constructive purpose to your words, or are you simply venting your frustrations or seeking validation from others? If you're not sure, a good rule of thumb is to ask yourself whether you would say the same thing if the person you're talking about were in the room with you. If the answer is no, then it's probably best to keep your thoughts to yourself. And if you do feel the need to address a problem or concern with someone, consider doing so directly and respectfully rather than talking behind their back. This can be scary and uncomfortable, but it's also an opportunity to build trust, understanding, and authentic connection. When it comes to the third situation, being in the presence of someone who is grieving or going through a difficult time, it's important to remember that sometimes the most supportive thing we can do is simply to be present and to listen. Grief and loss can be incredibly isolating experiences, and people who are struggling often feel pressure to put on a brave face or to get over it quickly. But the reality is that healing takes time, and there's no one right way to move through the process. As a supportive presence, your role is not to fix or advise, but rather to create a safe and non-judgmental space for the person to express their feelings and to be witnessed in their pain. This can be challenging, especially if you're someone who likes to take action or solve problems. But sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is to resist the urge to fill the silence with platitudes or suggestions, and instead to simply sit with the person in their discomfort. You might say something like, "I'm so sorry you're going through this. I can't imagine how painful it must be. I'm here to listen if you want to talk, or to just sit with you if you prefer. Whatever you need, I'm here." And then allow the silence to be there. Allow the person to take the lead in the conversation, or to simply be quiet if that's what they need. Trust that your presence and your willingness to be with them in their pain is a powerful gift in itself. Of course, it's also important to take care of yourself in these situations. Witnessing someone else's grief can be emotionally taxing, and it's okay to set boundaries and to practice self-care as needed. But by showing up with an open heart and a willingness to listen, you can create a profound sense of connection and support that can help the person feel less alone in their struggle. Moving on to the fourth situation, when you're in a heated argument or debate, it's important to remember that the goal is not to win, but to understand and to find a way forward that works for everyone involved. When emotions are running high and opinions are clashing, it can be tempting to dig in our heels and to try to prove our point at all costs. But this approach rarely leads to a productive or satisfying outcome. Instead, try to approach the conversation with a spirit of curiosity and openness. Ask questions to better understand the other person's perspective, and listen actively to their responses without interrupting or mentally formulating your rebuttal. You might say something like, "I hear what you're saying and I want to make sure I understand. Can you tell me more about why this is important to you?" Or, "I appreciate you sharing your perspective. It's different from mine, but I'm open to learning more. What experiences or beliefs have shaped your view on this?" By showing genuine interest and respect for the other person's point of view, you create a space for dialogue and exchange of ideas rather than a battle of wills. And when it's your turn to speak, focus on expressing your own thoughts and feelings clearly and calmly rather than attacking or blaming the other person. Use I statements to take ownership of your own experience and avoid you statements that can come across as accusatory or judgmental. For example, instead of saying, "You always do this, you're so stubborn and unreasonable," try saying, "I feel frustrated when we have conversations like this. I'm having a hard time understanding your perspective, and I'm worried that we're not making progress towards a solution." By expressing yourself in a way that is honest but also respectful and non-defensive, you create an opening for the other person to do the same. And remember, it's okay to take a break if the conversation is getting too heated or unproductive. You might say something like, "I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed right now, and I don't think I'm communicating as clearly as I'd like to. Can we take a few minutes to cool down and regroup and then come back to this with fresh eyes?" By giving yourself and the other person some space to process and recharge, you create the conditions for a more thoughtful and constructive dialogue when you return. Finally, when it comes to the fifth situation, being in doubt or unsure of what to say, it's important to remember that silence can be a powerful tool for reflection and discernment. In a culture that values quick thinking and decisive action, it can be tempting to feel like we always need to have an answer or an opinion at the ready. But the reality is that some questions or issues are complex and multifaceted, and rushing to judgment can often do more harm than good. When you find yourself in a situation where you're not sure what to say, or where you feel like you need more information or perspective before weighing in, give yourself permission to take a step back and to be silent for a moment. You might say something like, "That's a great question. And to be honest, I don't have a clear answer right now. I need some time to think it through and to gather more information before I can give you a thoughtful response. Can I get back to you on this in a day or two?" By being honest about your uncertainty and your need for more time, you show respect for the complexity of the issue and for the importance of speaking with integrity and care. And in the meantime, use the silence as an opportunity for reflection and discernment. Consider seeking out diverse perspectives and sources of information and sit with the question or issue in a spirit of openness and curiosity. Ask yourself, what values or principles are at stake here? What impact might different responses or actions have on myself and others? What feels most aligned with my deepest beliefs and commitments? By taking the time to sit with the question and to listen for the wisdom of your own inner voice, you create the space for a response that is thoughtful, authentic, and in service of the highest good. And when you do feel ready to speak, let your words be guided by a deep respect for the humanity and dignity of everyone involved. Speak from a place of humility and openness, and be willing to continue learning and growing in your understanding. Because ultimately, that's what true wisdom and leadership is all about. It's not about having all the answers or being right all the time, but about being willing to engage in the messy, complex work of dialogue, discernment, and growth. And it all starts with the simple, powerful act of knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, of trusting in the wisdom of our own inner voice and of using our words and our presence to create a world of greater understanding, compassion, and connection. So as we come to the end of our exploration of the power of silence, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts and reflections. First and foremost, remember that cultivating the habit of intentional silence is a practice, not a destination. It's something we have to commit to every day, in every interaction, in every moment of choice. There will be times when we slip up, when we react instead of respond, or when we say things we later regret. But the beauty of this practice is that every moment offers a new opportunity to begin again, to recommit to our highest values and aspirations. So be gentle with yourself as you learn and grow. Celebrate the moments of success and learn from the moments of challenge. And trust that every step you take towards greater self-awareness, compassion, and intentionality is a step towards a more peaceful and connected world. Secondly, remember that the power of silence is not just about what we say or don't say, but about the quality of presence we bring to every interaction. When we're truly present with ourselves and others, when we're listening deeply and responding with care and intention, we create a space of profound connection and healing. We communicate not just with our words, but with our energy, our body language, and our full attention. We create a felt sense of safety, respect, and trust that allows for authentic sharing and growth. So as you go forth from this moment, I invite you to bring your full presence to every conversation and every encounter. To listen not just with your ears, but with your whole being. To speak not just with your words, but with your heart and your highest intentions. And finally, remember that the power of silence is ultimately about creating a world of greater peace, understanding, and love. When we choose to be silent in moments of anger or judgment, we create space for empathy and compassion to arise. When we listen deeply to those who are grieving or in pain, we offer a healing balm of presence and care. When we approach difficult conversations with curiosity and respect, we build bridges of understanding and cooperation. And when we take the time for reflection and discernment before speaking, we bring more wisdom, integrity, and care to every word we utter. These are the building blocks of a more just, compassionate, and sustainable world, and they start with each one of us in every moment of every day. So let us go forth from this place with renewed commitment to the practice of intentional silence and to the cultivation of a more loving and peaceful world. Let us trust in the wisdom of our own inner voice and in the power of our presence to heal and transform. And let us remember that every word we speak, every action we take, and every moment of silence we choose ripples out into the world in ways we may never fully know. May we use our words and our silence to create a world of greater understanding, compassion, and love. May we be the change we wish to see, and may we always strive to communicate with wisdom, care, and respect. Thank you for being here, for listening with an open heart and mind, and for your willingness to embrace the power of silence in service of a more beautiful world. I believe in you, I'm grateful for you, and I'm excited to see how you'll use these teachings to create more peace, more connection, and more love in your own life and in the lives of those around you. So go forth with courage, with compassion, and with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that your presence and your words have the power to change lives and to change the world. May you always find the wisdom to know when to speak and when to stay silent, and may you use that wisdom to create a life and a world of profound beauty, meaning, and love.